Surfaces are clean. It is ready to go together. Make sure you got your bolts ready at this time. Clean them up on the wire wheel, put a little bit of Loctite on them, make sure the threads are good. Some of these I like to put a thread chaser through all the holes. This particular engine I know is the threads are good. I didn't have any issues taking bolts out. Everything's been cleaned in the parts washer. You're always going to want to make sure you clean the base gasket, remnants off the top half of the crankcase. Saves you some time. If you do it now, you don't have to drop parts of the gasket material down in the new bottom end that you just put together. So, gonna get right to putting this Moto Seal on. We don't have much time. As soon as this is put on, we want to get it up and set on and pushed on and get bolts ran in immediately. This stuff here is going to cure up real quick. So we'll just start putting it on and then put it together. There you have it. It's ready to go. We take ourselves here and set her on. Maybe a little snug on the dowels. And then we start putting some bolts in. And I forget, it's that one. That one gets the shorter one. These two are a little short. These ones would have had the dowel pins. We'll start snugging these in. You can see, guys, I'm always working from the inside out on putting stuff together like this. That way it's going to tighten down nice and even. I'm crisscrossing each one. And my impact, even though it makes a lot of noise, isn't putting that much torque on these bolts. Once I get it this far, what I like to do, spin it over a couple times. And then I'll also take a mallet. I'll hit on the end of the crank, just in case there's any side load. Just kind of gets everything happy that way. Feels real good. Now we'll start torquing everything down. We're going to torque them to 18 foot-pounds. Starting on the inside. All right, guys, so we'll do the final torque. Everything spins over good. Now we can just kind of go around at 18 foot-pounds and torque them all up. Still spins nice and freely. So that is excellent. Everything's squished out real good. So we know we got the crank seated properly. So that's how you put together the bottom end. I'll flip it back up on its bottom so it's facing normal, like it's sitting in the chassis. And I'll show you guys what I do. Just put some oil down the bearings, put some rubber bands if I got them on the crank connecting rods, just so we can turn everything over. But that's it for assembling the bottom end. There you guys can see the second impulse fitting that we put in. Basically just a brass barbed fitting, 1/8 pipe thread. We drill and tap the crankcase like that, so you got an impulse on each side if needed. Now I'm going to put oil down the connecting rods and the bearing journals for the crank. Make sure those have adequate oil on startup, of course. This is the original piston that we took out. Looks pretty darn nice. So we'll end up reusing those. We'll check the ring gaps and kind of hone out the cylinders, see what the top end is going to be like, get that assembled, and then we'll button the whole motor back up and hopefully have it back in the chassis. Boys, we're back on the Exciter. Gonna try to get her almost fully built today. Got the bottom end all squared away, got base gaskets on. We went with the 20 thou base gasket over the 15 thou that I had from the other kit. 20 thou is gonna give us a little higher port timing than 15. And then we got the thinnest head gasket, so that'll give us the highest compression. So higher port timing, higher compression, usually good there. So that's why I went with the 20,000 base gasket. Just a Vertex kit. We honed the cylinders, those turned out okay. The old $25 O'Reilly's hone. Got them all cleaned up, all the gasket surfaces. We just got to oil everything up. Pistons we got all cleaned up, I'll show you guys those. So those are looking good. These are stock, 60 millimeter bore, OEM pistons. I did check ring end gap, was 20 thousandths. So I think that's probably pretty safe and not too worn out. Air-cooled stuff, you're probably gonna want more ring gap with the less cooling, more expansion, and then liquid-cooled, you can run tighter ring gap. You know, some guys will run 12 thousandths, 10 thousandths even on some really high-end stuff, but 20 I think is plenty safe. If it was say 30 or 40, you know, then you're getting to you got some wear and you might need to bore those out and go to an oversized piston. So I think we're good for now. We just got to get everything lubed up. Reuse the circlips, guys. It has the factory Yamaha OEM circlips, and those are pretty darn stout clips. They're not your traditional little thin wire ones. They actually have a little tang on them, so you can go in there with a needle nose and pop them in and pop them out. So I didn't mangle them or anything when I removed them, so I'm going to reuse them. Flywheel ignition's back on. We just put it back to where we took it apart. Don't know exactly where it'll be timed at. You know, these like to run around 16 to 18 degrees of timing. So we're gonna just take a chance at it and see how it runs. You can always put a timing light on it in the chassis if needed. And I think Mark's working on, he's doing some sinful things over there, boys. He's doing a little Shanghai surprise with the fan shroud. Or not fan shroud, the fan blades that mount on the flywheel. I told you guys we're gonna have a little secret sauce that we're gonna try this here. Maybe help it rev a little quicker, a little easier. And hopefully not screw our cooling system over. Oh, boy.
It's ready.
You think so?
It's ready for surgery.
Nice. Anyways, guys, we're going to get started on the piston install here very shortly. Look at the sinful act he's doing, boys. The deed is done. The deed is done, my friend. So we got PTO mag. I already lubed those up pretty well, and me and Mark will just find pistons I labeled too, so this is PTO side. I gotta put one of the clips in. The clips are sitting right to your right. They're underneath that gasket. One's still in the piston, and then two are for the... And we gotta get your best needle nose pliers that you got. Grab onto that and pop them in. Bottom end is well lubricated, so no need to worry about that. We're just gonna get we got some steel 2-cycle synthetic we're gonna use. Oh, yeah. There we go. So I want to put it on this way, this side. Yep. Man, guys, I'm telling you, these are some good old circlips. I got some good circlips. At least it's somewhat not super tech Walmart oil.
Right.
Like, I mean, we've done it in the past, but we won't talk about that. We just won't talk about it. Now, before I have sinned, I have used super tech. Yes, yeah, I'll let you do yours first. And then...
Is it at its highest?
No. It is now. I assume that clip's still in yet on the inside. Oh, this one's PTO. Good. Lubricated, and then we'll turn this one down. And then we'll put the clips in last. Both clips.
Can we drop them in the bottom?
Yes. That's usually my goal, is to drop them in the bottom. These particular pistons, guys, arrow, it does point to the exhaust. If you don't have an arrow, just look for the pin, make sure it's on the intake side. Snowmobile engine is going to be on your pulsation impulse side. This is exactly how the motor sits in the sled. That's how I like to put them together. Our piston rings are on, of course, before we put the pistons even in. Now we just got to put our Jesus clips in on both pistons and we should be good. Do we go with the bold strategy of not putting a rag in there?
No, I don't like that.
Not a fan? Me neither. I'm going with the safe approach here, guys. We're just going to stuff a little towel in and hope for the best. Yeah, a little suitcase action. Yeah, buddy. Good. Now, if I can go 2 for 2. Oh.
Maybe small,
Man, dude, they are
but it's real strong.
real strong, man, I tell you.
Do we have to put the other one in, or can we leave it in this one?
Don't even put it in. Put it in. I'm gonna just leave it. And guys, this is a low budget stock build. We're not going. We already have a full mod motor. We don't need to worry about that. I shouldn't say full mod, but heavily intoxicated motor. We'll say it's sick. It's got a little bit of fuzzies on there. I'm just gonna take on. In the groove, in the groove, in the groove, and in the groove. We're all good. Pistons are in. And now we just got to get the cylinders all nice and oiled. They're very dry. I brake cleaned them. I'll show you. I'll see if you guys can see the cross hatching on the camera, but you can see it a little bit. They cleaned up okay. You can see the surfaces. We got all clean everywhere. We did polish up the exhaust port a little bit. Just a quick polish, nothing crazy. This one should be mag side. This one should be good. We just got to get her heavily on the lube. And we'll put a little bit of lubricant on the old piston as well. We're going to get that lubed up a little bit.
Spill it all over the base, guys.
Ah, yeah,
Love it.
that's the best.
Alright.
All right. Yeah, the rubber's gonna go in the middle.
That's enough lube.
Oh yeah, I mean that's plentiful. Actually slipped down pretty good. Yeah.
Cool.
Turn it up a little bit.
Oh. That's sure.
Look at the, I mean, I went heavy in the bottom end, boys. I mean heavy. Just straight shabby in it. Yeah, I think that thing will slip past there. That rubber doohickey, I think.
Oh yeah, just by a skin.
Just by a skin flip, which is a little tight, man. Unless that cylinder has to go on first, probably, and that sits on top of here. Is that how that goes? We're just gonna go with the force field. That damn rubber. I think that, yeah, we probably should have done it that way, but This will work perfect, yeah.
That thing is stiff. So stiff.
Oh, yeah. Excellent, boys. Does she turn good? Oh, even little pulse, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, boys. All right. Now, we got to set the copper-coated head gaskets on, which, that is a sinful job of copper-coated. I honestly am embarrassed. I'm embarrassed by that. We got some SPI gaskets from like way back in the 80s on eBay, and they're like super thin. They're 20 thou head gaskets, guys. I got those three. And I think there's bumps on them. The bumps, if you can feel the bump, they're up.
Bump is up.
Yep, the bump should be up. And they only go on one way of the pattern. The pattern only fits one way. So you have to
Not that way. Not that way.
Yeah, I think 180 the other way. Yep. 90 degrees to the left and should be good.
Okay.
And yeah, bumps up on these. Anytime you got an aluminum crush head gasket like that, I always put the bumps, the little ridges inside up, and that way it crushes it down. And I'm just wiping this with a little brake clean, which we've already brake cleaned these, so not too worried. Heads are going on, guys. We put the intake Y pipe on because that squares up the cylinders, so that way they're going to be in the right spot for when you want to put the exhaust and intake manifold bolts in. If you just go ahead and willy-nilly just send them on, chances are you go to put the Y pipes on and they're not going to line up right. And we'll hit those at about 20 foot-pounds on the head bolts. We'll go 20. Doesn't have any compression, sir. Pretty close, huh? Alrighty guys, here is the finished product, bare engine for now. We'll dress it with shrouds and fan blade and starter cup and all that stuff later. Just raw aluminum castings, man. It's just super clean. So that's what we're rocking with. We'll get this thing in the chassis here hopefully soon and get it started. We're going to do some intake manifold modifications. See what we can come up with. Worst comes to worst, we're throwing on the OG manifold that we had made. And then we got to bolt the Y pipe on and get this thing all realigned in the chassis. So we'll take you along on that journey, I'm sure, when that time comes. We are working on the Exciter, buddy.
In jumpsuits.
Yeah, we're working on it in jumpsuits, so you know what that means. A little cold out today.
4 degrees in here this morning.
I think Mark's...
It might be close to 60 now.
Ain't bad, man. What we have done so far is we've compression tested the old motor, 120, 130 for compression. This motor was hurt once in its life. This thing also, the compression readings might not be great. This thing is full of oil. We fogged the crap out of it 2 years ago. We're marking the motor plate. I got a paint marker here. We're going to make sure that when we go back in, we can align it properly and get everything kind of squared up where it was. We built the stock motor. We're going to throw that in. We got to swap this intake duct with the CDI box combo. We'll put that on the new motor, and probably the recoil too. I know we have another recoil, but we'll just use this one anyways. We've already had a rope put in this one before. Drain the fuel out of it. We'll get the tank dumped out. I might have to do some fuel lines, and then we're going to get a new pulse pump for the lube pump for the lube system. That one's given us trouble in the past. The other ones haven't given us trouble, knock on wood, yet. And we just got to disconnect some stuff and unbolt this motor. Pipe was already off from storage. We had the end cap taped off. Clutch has already been off. We just removed the carb. We're going to swap this intake onto the other motor. You can see Mark's just kind of making himself some guides there. Because that, if he puts the washer back in that spot, chances are, you know, it's pretty close, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we'll disconnect those pulse lines here in a second.
Almost like to drill out my other motor blade. I got this one so butchered.
Well, we got to do a lot of moving around possibly. You never know. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they're you can 100%.
Yeah. I think we'll leave this motor plate and reuse it with the other motor. And then once we get it dialed in, if it's good, we could always get the other motor plate back out, get it to where it's got to be within a real close tolerance. So yeah, other than that, the sled's as good as I remember it being. This motor's, you know, fine and everything like that, still healthy. And well oiled. Carburetor was dry, well oiled, of course. And we'll see what happens when we get this motor out. See if there's any metal slivs laying in the bottom yet. I know we had a ton of metal slivs in the past. We were picking them out of our fingers for weeks, and aluminum slivs too. So you couldn't even. I mean, it was rough.
Yeah, they were there.
So Mark's got everything documented here. We'll have to probably loosen up his ground strap. I don't know. I think he has a ground strap from the engine to the chassis here, and a couple electrical connections for the tachometer.
The tack stuff is all good. I just gotta unplug it.
Yeah.
Should be yellow wire to red wire.
And dude, we even zip tied, guys. We zip tied the springs for the exhaust to the Y pipe. Like, it's almost like we were thinking of ourselves in this one,
Yeah.
which is not common, you know, for us. Still got the old tack set up on here yet. I got a couple bigger tacks yet we can use if we need to. And he's got his old 80s Polaris one still plumbed in there if needed. Got the motor all loose, everything's disconnected. I think me and Mark are just gonna go with a little lift here. Oh boy, he's got her. Wow, look at that big strong guy. If you ever want a good oil that's tacky, you get the Mercury oil, man. Mercury racing oil. Just about as sticky as Klotz, if not stickier.
Oh,
So, all right, motor's out. Let's get that motor plate swapped. We'll get the other motor dressed. We got fan shrouds to put on. We can probably put all that stuff on in the chassis.
I also do it on the bench.
Oh, okay.
So much easier.
And we painted it all black, dude. Hopefully it dried.
Yeah.
7 degrees of cold and. I don't think you pinched nothing.
I like it when the plan comes together.
Oh yeah. Oh, you already hooked your fucking kill switch bullet up, huh?
Yeah, everything's okay.
That's got a little bare spot in there, huh?
Hmm?
Is that? You must have a crimp cut, right? All right.
Oh, trust me, I yanked it work.
I just don't want to. It can't touch anything metal. Not to compromise there. Should I put a little electrical tape on it?
Good. Not gonna hurt.
Everything else looks good there. We got a ground strap, guys, from the engine to the chassis. We also have another ground up there, closer to the upper tunnel.
And I got one over here from the tech.
Yep. Yeah, we got plenty of grounds on this machine, and you never can have too many. All of our electrical, we always have the CDI box mounted right by the fan duct here. So that's how that sits. All of our electrical is very, very basic on this. We pretty much ran our own. Do we have our own harness? Yeah, we ran our own harness.
Yeah, we pretty much made all our own.
Which is literally 2 wires, but hey, still a harness, man. Wow, you're pretty square, huh? Yeah. that's sweet.
Oh, dude. This thing got fucking melted down here, buddy.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's not bad. I wonder if you shouldn't stuff that.
I was gonna wrap it with aluminum foil today.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean,
We're talking about, guys, there's a piece of loom where our kill switch wire comes up. It melted just the loom, but the pipe runs right there. It must have just got a little heat to it. What else do we do? Just kind of tidied up some of the fuel lines, zip tied a little bit tighter. Kind of just basic things that we would do on anything else. Throttle pulls a crap ton better. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Huh? Yep. And then
full.
Sweet. Well, that's a good sign, buddy.
Yeah.
At least something's coming together. We just gotta get new fuel in it yet, guys. Pre-mix it with 32-to-1 with Mercury racing oil. And then I'm gonna go get a primary clutch figured out, slap that on. At least you have something to run. We don't want to run an engine without a clutch on, of course. Belt we got there is probably fine. I have one in the house I might throw on quick too. And then we're almost ready for the first startup, I believe. Not pumping any gas.